Good evening, everyone. This is Rita Joy. I'm from Hong Kong, founder of A-Shape-CHM. A-Shape-CHM is an international organization for human resources practitioners in Asia to stay ahead of the curve, keep abreast of the latest HR information, trends, and best practices. We have networking platform on social media. We do have regular webinars on different HR topics. We have our own mentoring program. That's why we have the group mentoring session tonight. We also have the HRBP program. Recently, we have set up the Job Seekers account in collaboration with the Vani Foundation. Our aim is to provide a multi-million dollars training program on core employability skills so that we can help more people to find jobs after they're equipped with the necessary skills. But anyway, so this is about A-Shape-CHM, and for tonight, I'm so glad that we have the session, the group mentoring session. And the rundown for today is as follows. We will have our speaker for tonight with the topic of the necessary skill set for the future skill sets for HR professionals. And the speaker will speak for 30 minutes, followed by 15 minutes of Q&A. Thereafter, we will have small group discussions. The group will be given a question for them to discuss. And after the 15 minutes discussion, each group will come back to the main room, and a representative from each group will just let us know this, give us a summary of the discussion. Okay, and we believe that, we hope that through the discussion and the sharing, we will have a lot of takeaway today. I'm also very confident that we have a lot of good takeaway from our speaker today. So without further ado, I would like to give a brief introduction of our speaker tonight. Okay, so our speaker is Louis Lee, who is the Regional HR Director, Career Coach, and Mentor. Louis has over 20 years of experience working in human resources and organization development across the region in FMCG, engineering, operations, and service sectors. And I'm going to stop here. And I would like to pass the control to Louis so that if he would like to spend more time introducing himself, just feel free to do it. So I would like to pass the control to Louis. By the way, Louis is from Singapore. Welcome, Louis. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Rita. So first of all, allow me to pay tribute and give my thanks to both Rita and Christine for the invitation to share some thoughts with everybody here. All right, so my name is Louis. My Chinese name will be Junhui. And if it is possible, can I just request for everyone to switch on their cameras? That'll be really great. But of course, if it's not possible, then that's fine, because it does make a difference for the speaker to speak to a face rather than to a name. All right, but it's really up to you guys. All right, so we're going to leave it open. Okay, so allow me to set the context relating to what I'm going to share. So first of all, right, this is not some formal lectures or whatsoever. I understand from both Rita and Christine that the majority of the members of the audience are young HR professionals. So I'm going to keep it having been young once. Well, I'm still young at heart, but having been young once, I know that young people will prefer informality. So I wouldn't call this some formal lecture or sharing. It's just informal sharing. Okay, I'm going to share some views. I'm going to give some examples. And then, of course, if you members of the audience have different perspectives, please feel free to share, because no one person in this world have the monopoly of the truth. All right, are we cool on that? Okay, so allow me to share screen, and I'm going to start. And the good news is that I only have a few slides. Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the title of today's speech, today's sharing is on the future skill sets for HR professionals. I thought long and hard on what I should share, so as to give some value, to ensure that some value is transmitted to members of the audience. But I thought to myself, what I'm going to share is not just about future skill sets. I would think that these are timeless skill sets. So if I have the liberty, I would really like to change the title from future skill sets to timeless skill sets that all HR professionals to have, to ensure that they are successful. And such timeless skill sets, in my view, will transcend any technological advancement or whatsoever. All right, today, ChatGPT may be the the rave of the industry. But tomorrow, you never know, some new technology or some new concepts or ideas will supersede that. But these 5, I believe, would remain important for in the repertoire of HR professionals. So let's just look at each one of them. First of all, HR legislation. Okay, so it may sound very commonsensical, but here's the thing. So can I just have a quick check, right? How many of us would profess to be really familiar with the HR legislation or labor legislation of your respective countries? Can you just put a show of hands or something to that effect? How many will profess that, hey, look, I'm very confident that I'm fully aware of whatever is required, all the laws and all? Anyone? Okay, let me just try to make some adjustments to see your faces. Yeah, here we are. Anyone? Okay, so Rita is very confident. How about the rest? Okay, for the rest of us, right, who may not be so familiar, don't worry. There's always a lot of programs that's available. Of course, I'm quite sure Asia HRM would have some of these available as well. Now, let me just share with you why is that really, really important. Okay, so we are HR professionals. How many of us have a lot of dealings with the union in your respective countries? Can I have a show of hands, please? Anyone with the unions and all? Now, so one of those key things that I kind of realized, right, in Singapore and in some of the other countries in the region is that the unions are represented as some of the most competent industrial relations officer that I've met. Okay, one of the key training that these industrial relations officers have is the law. So they know the law at the back of their hands, and there's a whole range of labor legislation that governs the business conduct of each country. So every time when there's some negotiations in the union or perhaps disputes or whatsoever, if we do not know the law well enough, there's a lot of times we don't know the rights of the employers. So as I would divide our responsibility in this way: the union represents the workers, the HR professionals represents the employers. Right? This is how I would draw the distinction. Of course, one may ask, hey, what if my company is not unionized? Then I would say, in this case, HR would also take care of the needs of the, whether the company is unionized or not, HR will have to take care of the needs of the workers. But what is the primary objective? Is to make sure that workers are happy, engaged, productive, so that it fulfills a more fundamental objective of ensuring the longevity and the success of the business. Only when the business is successful, then we can have the resources, the money, and other type of resources to ensure that we can provide the best possible advancement opportunities and welfare for the workers. Okay, so this is, feel free to disagree with me, but this is how I see the whole situation works. Because at the end of the day, every company exists as a business entity with the primary objective of making profits. And if we have like-minded workers in our workforce, that is great. And we want to grow together with the workers. Okay, so to do all that, the most fundamental thing we need to do as HR professionals is really to know the law well, so that we know what are the rights of the company. And if you look at, let me give some examples. If you look at how many of us actually cover the US market? Not many. But if you look at some of the countries, right, let me give an example, like for example, California in the United States. There is a massive amount of lawsuits that is going through and flow between employers and employees. Okay, so again, if we as HR professionals do not know the law well, we will not be able to represent the interests of the company well as well. Okay, so something really, really important for us to know. If any one of us are not updated on the law, or perhaps may not be as confident in the legal legislation of the countries that we represent, then my suggestion is go for training, or you can search for all these data online to at least have a basic grasp of what are the legislative parts that we need to know. Okay. Now, what's the next one? I would say business acumen. So what do I mean by business acumen here? A lot of times we will say that, okay, we are HR business partners or we are HR folks, we should know the business. But how many of us have actually had this interactions with operations, right? Whereby our inputs was solicited only for very operational stuff. I think this is something that's not going to be new for a lot of us here. But if we were to understand the business and experience how it works, it's going to make a huge difference. So let me give an example. In my current company, right? I mean, I don't mind sharing with Paradise Group. one of the largest Chinese F&B establishment in Asia Pacific. What we do is that we make sure our HR business partners have a regular sessions in deployment to the restaurants. And we are deployed to the restaurants, right? We're not just there to talk to employees and all that. We make it a point to ensure that we also help out in the operations as well. So let me give an example. During the Mother's Day in May 2023, right? I have taken a morning shift from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Being deployed at the restaurant as a server. So what is the value in that? Because as the regional HR director, if I know the work scope and the challenges of my people well, will I be in a better position to be able to articulate whatever improvements that's required for the people I represent? I will certainly say so. And of course, having a stint in doing such operational work will enhance the credibility of HR as well. So when we make decisions, when we make recommendations, it is not based on an ivory tower perspective, but it's because we have earned the right to say that, yep, I understand because I've done that as well. So the problem may not be as big as what you described, or yes, I fully agree with you that the challenge is really quite dire, and then therefore, let's expedite our solutioning for that particular gap. So I would encourage, where possible, if you are HR professional, especially the HR business partners, if we have a chance, find an opportunity to go to the ground and take on some roles. Of course, those that you are competently trained in, and experience how our people on the ground would feel as well, so that we as HR professionals will be in a much better position to be able to do our work. So other examples include, if you look at Richard Branson, what does he do? As a CEO of Virgin Airlines, he has also served a stint as a steward, an air crew steward on board Virgin Airlines flight, so that he has a better grasp of the situations on the ground. Okay. So of course, the other aspect of business acumen, I would say, apart from knowing the ground operations, is to know our financial figures. Okay. So let me give an example. If we as HR professionals are just thinking of how to fill up headcounts and measure our success by how many percent of vacancies have been filled up, I would say that's just one part of the story. What's the other part of the story? So let's just say that if the sales figures for a particular outlet, right, is not very good, then as an HR professional with business acumen, we may want to argue for the case that, hey, look, since the sales has not been equals to what is being expected, do we really need to fill headcount? Or can we just leave the headcount as it is? Because if we were to hire more people, but it's not generating more sales, then it's actually adding to the cost. So therefore, if we can establish clarity in terms of the formula of how we want to fill up our headcounts, our vacancies, based on the revenue that we bring in. So for example, if we are able to bring in 100% of the projected revenue, then by all means, fill up all the headcount by up to 100%. But if you see that consistently, right, for the past X number of months, only about 70% of the revenue has been filled up, then we have to ask ourselves, do we need to fill up 100% of the headcount? Probably not. Maybe we just need to fill up 70% of the headcount. So these are some of those things that HR professionals exercising business acumen would do well to earn credibility within the business circles, and of course to add value to the business. Okay, next point, data literacy. So if I were to ask everyone a question, right? Okay, what does data literacy mean to us? So let me just ask a question, and I do hope we can hear your participation as well. Let's say that if I have an increase, okay, if in my company, I have zero increase in headcount, okay? Zero increase in headcount. But I noticed that when we send people for training, there has been an increase, there's an increased number of training days. That means more and more number of training days have been accumulated out of zero headcount growth. But most of the training are orientation training, not advanced skills training. So if under such circumstances, right, can you tell me how would you want to interpret such information? Okay, let me repeat myself again, all right? This company has zero headcount growth, but yet the number of training days have been increasing amongst the employees, and most of the training are orientation related. They are relating to induction, orientation, and all that. What does such data tell us? Anyone? Okay, so remember, we're supposed to make it informal, right? So
Hi,
what
Louis.
Yes.
Louis, this is Sumay here from Malaysia.
Hi, Samay.
So I will interpret it as a high attrition rate for this company. As
Absolutely.
employees out, in, out, and so on.
Correct. Wow, you are a data expert already. Congratulations. Yeah, so these are some, I'm just giving you a very simple example of how we as HR professionals can use data to articulate our perspective. Because at the end of the day, there will be people who say that facts tell, but stories sell, right? But at the end of the day, we cannot go to board meetings or senior management meetings telling stories all the time. At the end of the day, the thing, at least from my experience, the thing that really catches the CEO's attention is data, pure hard facts. So if we can present the data in a compelling way, then and only then will we be able to ensure that our stakeholders will take us seriously. Okay, and it's not mere opinions or facts, or not mere opinions, but it's really facts that we're talking about. All right, next one, we're going to talk about empathy. Okay, empathy, in a way, I would say is the flip side of, no, sorry, it's not the flip side, but it's along the same line as business acumen. We as HR professionals need to understand the business, and we need to have that business acumen so that we can make the decisions that will benefit the business. Okay, but at the same time, we cannot just represent the business only. We have to also make sure that we take care of the workers as well, right? If the workers are happier, then the business will prosper. It comes hand in hand. It cannot be either or. Okay, so this is where we have to build a trust and understand the context of different individuals. I believe many of us who have seen across the world a whole range of work arrangements that are meant to suit the lifestyles and the preferences of individuals, such as flexible work arrangements. This is one of the most common evolutions since COVID-19 for everybody. So when you see such things becoming more commonplace, and this is really how should I say, an evidence of the empathy coming into play. So what are some examples of empathy not being demonstrated sufficiently? I would say that if you look at some of those companies, right, I wouldn't name any companies, but if you look at some of those huge companies whereby they fire people or they retrench people via an email, then obviously this is not empathy, right? In fact, it gives companies a bad name. But if we were to have to make hard decisions, then we as HR professionals were to come in to the business owners to say, hey, look, let's do things in a certain way. Even if we don't have that as employees, at least because of the way we handled the whole situation, they can become our fans or future customers, and they will still be able to advocate for us in spite of the bad news we have to deliver to them. So this is probably one of those end in mind that we want to share and advocate to our fellow stakeholders in the business. Okay, another thing I would like to also emphasize is how HR professionals can exercise empathy, not just to workers, but also to members of fellow management. Now, when I was in operations, right, one of those key things that I wouldn't want my HR business partner to come to me is to say that, look, I know this is what you want to do, but this is the law, and so you can't do that. Full stop. All right. If we know that the law doesn't allow for a certain business decision, the HR business partner's job is not just to tell them that this is the law, throw the book at the person, and then stop there. I would say that preferred mode of operations would be that the HR business partner will first articulate to the stakeholder that, look, this is against the law, it should not be done. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two is that while this is against the law, here are the alternatives that we have proposed for you to achieve the same business impact. All right, so these are some of those key things that you might want to consider as well. Don't just stop at this is the law, this is against the law, and then therefore, please figure out another solution yourself. Sit with the business stakeholder, work with them to figure out alternatives. Or if you already have some alternatives in mind, share it with the stakeholder. Trust me, the stakeholders would hold HR in much higher regard, and their trust for you as an individual and the trust for the HR function in your organization will increase considerably. So something you might want to consider. And of course, the last one is communications. So this is where even if you have a very good grasp of the law, you know the business well, you know data well, you do have empathy. The last part is the finishing, which is communication. If such communications are not done well enough, not done in the empathetic way, based on facts, based on the parameters that's been defined by the law in the respective jurisdictions, then I would say it will be such a waste, whereby you have so much substance and content shared, but it's not shared in a palatable way, then it'll be such a waste. So, which is why I've always emphasized that where communications are concerned, this is truly, truly important. Okay. Of course, one may ask me, hey, Louis, you mentioned these 5, right? But I don't hear you talking about technology. Yes, I understand that where technology is concerned, it's going to be a very close link or perhaps synonymous with the word future. So today we have ChatGPT and all that, but I'm quite sure, all right, if you have ChatGPT and ChatGPT, what is ChatGPT's function? It can essentially aggregate the whole range of information from the internet, okay, up to the year 2021 and provide certain data together in a compelling manner. But there are 2 things here. Number one, ChatGPT can give you the answer that may not have that much empathy or context that your organization requires. Number 2, we still have to do fact checks. Okay, so which is why I would say that regardless of whether is it in the current state of affairs or in the future, mastery of the law, understanding the business, understanding data, practicing empathy, and communicating it well will be the key factors to ensure the success of any HR professional, either in the present or in the future. All right, so I'm going to stop here for a while and open the floor to any questions that you guys would have, and we'll be happy to address them. Anyone?
Any question from the floor?
Hi, Lee.
Hello.
Raziman from Malaysia.
Hello, sir. Hi, Tuan. Okay.
It's excellent sharing.
Thank you so much, sir.
That's excellent sharing. The first and most important what you share is understanding the law. As a HR, if we don't know the law, we never understand. It's not only stop at the level of understanding. We must interpret as what you said. We must advise our stakeholder.
Yep.
That's most crucial, and followed by business acumen, empathy, data literacy, and communication. My question: how you see the coaching environment in terms of HR profession? Because most of the time we become a teacher. We come to HR, we become a teacher as an advisor, we telling more rather, and then we create the awareness. So where you put the coaching spectrum in your paradigm?
Sure. Okay, so I can only speak from experience. So again, my answers may be there will be a certain nuance where the context is concerned. All right, but I'll be happy to share what we did. So at the end of the day, right, to be very honest with you, I always say HR is like football. So why is HR like football? In football, right, everyone who watch the football on the armchair and start commenting, especially during World Cup and all that, right, they are all experts already. Right? So we have a lot of armchair coaches in football, just as I would say that there are a lot of armchair coaches in HR as well. I'm not sure whether you had the same experience, but what I would say that is that at the end of the day, from my experience, a lot of my stakeholders, right, will see themselves as experts in HR. To be very honest with you, all right. Sometimes they will even challenge the law and the understanding of the law, until when I start to produce certain documentations to share with them, that this is what say in Singapore's context, the Ministry of Manpower says, or in Hong Kong, this is what the Labour Ordinance says, and things like that. Then this is where they will say, oh, I see, I didn't know that beforehand. Thank you for sharing with me. So when we start doing this, a little bit of these things over and over again in a consistent manner, whereby we use facts and data to share, you will see that finally we will start to gain their respect. And when they start to gain their trust and respect, right, then this is where they will start coming to us and then start talking. I can share that in a lot of organizations and in many countries, right, you'll find that the turnover for HR folks, right, is actually higher than the turnover for operations. I'm not sure whether you have the same thing. So because the people in operations in the respective businesses, right, have been in the business for much longer, they will think that they know the policies and all that better than the HR person who is new, correct? So this is some of those things. So this is where I would say that one of the formula I used to give to my team. I have a lot of formulas for the teams that I work with, but one of the formula is this. Opinions, rank, R-A-N-K, okay? Rank will always supersede opinions. Okay, rank will always supersede opinions. But facts, F-A-C-T-S, may sometimes supersede rank. So this is with this one of these philosophies that I work with lah. So I use facts, I use data, and I try to apply it consistently to gain the trust and respect. And then once I gain the trust and respect, they will come to me. But if I were to go to them and say, look, let me coach you, and they say, why are you coaching me? Or because I'm in HR. You know, this sometimes in their mind will be that label doesn't qualify you as a coach, my friend. You know, things like that. So this is where at least from my experience, that I it's very difficult for me to do it upfront, just like that. Just because I'm HR, I would have to really earn the stripes to be able to have the right to coach them. At least that's from my perspective. I'm not sure about what's the experience of you guys.
I think what you say, I mean, what you're telling it is 100% correct regarding the data and facts. Facts really sounds stand. I mean, it is a right thing rather than we giving an opinion, because opinion might change by the time, but the facts going to be there.
Yeah, and sometimes
right.
you find, maybe let's say, okay, I just give you an example only. You work with, let's say, people not from country, right, expatriates, then they will say that, oh no, in my country we used to do this and that. Then sometimes you tell them very nicely, yeah, but this is Singapore, this is not England, you know, things like that. So I'm quite sure we all have a bit of this here and there lah. So we just have to manage it empathetically lor. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I think I see some messages here. Okay, can I just read it out? Melissa, right? Miss Melissa. Okay, I read out, okay? So just to share with everybody. What if the boss require you to do something illegal or unethical? As a HR business partner, should you advise to do it legally or at least ethically, or still follow boss? I.e., want to close down a certain unit, the staff have nowhere to go. Wait, let me just read it. My screen not very big. Okay. For example, want to close down a certain unit, but the staff have nowhere to go, but to be terminated. However, boss have no intention to compensate. What should HR do? Okay, Melissa, can I just ask, right, which jurisdiction are you in? Because this one is quite dependent on the context. Not every country in the world requires compensation for termination one. Singapore is one of them. We don't require. I mean retrenchment, not retrenchment. Malaysia. Oh, okay. So can I ask, in Malaysia, right, the Employment Act, if a person is retrenched, do you all need to pay the retrenchment benefits? Are you referring to retrenchment or you're referring to termination? Yes means what? Retrenchment or termination? Compensation is a must for employee under EA. Oh, okay. So this one is retrenchment now. Okay, sorry. Can I just confirm? Is it retrenchment or termination now? Melissa? Termination. Okay. Where termination is concerned, okay, so first of all, what based on the law, right? What is required is that you either, okay, why do I say based on the law? When it comes to termination, right? Of course, okay, there's a lot of similarity between Malaysia's Employment Act and Singapore's Employment Act. And both of us are applying the common law, just like in Hong Kong as well, besides in addition to statutory law. So from the perspective of contract law, you have to compensate because it's a termination of an agreement, and based on the contractual obligations, they need to give whatever compensation that's required. But of course, statutory law would supersede the contract law, and in this case, according to Mr. Lim, CL Lim, right, depending on the number of years of service, then that will determine the termination. So this is what I will do lah. Okay, this is what I'll do. I will tell the boss that, look, boss, I think we should really follow the law, because if we don't follow the law, our friend go to the, I don't know what is it called, Ministry of Human Resource, right? In Malaysia, it's called Ministry of Human Resource, to complain. Then we lagi jalan. Okay, lagi jalat for those who are not in Singapore and Malaysia means that it's going to be worse. All right, so from the perspective of, I will try to portray it from the perspective of protecting the interests of the boss, and then therefore to protect your interests, let's take a safer route out of this situation and bite the bullet rather than to take the risk. This is how I would present the case to the boss now. Okay, so hopefully that will answer your question, Melissa. Okay, so where I'm coming from, this goes back to the skills in communication now. Especially if you want to say something that the boss may not like to hear on, right? I would suggest that we frame it in such a way that is from the interest of the boss. Don't try to say that, oh, the law says this, so therefore do this and that. But say in the way that this is what the law requires, and we don't want you or the company to get into trouble. So therefore, boss, as your HR person, right, it is my duty to remind you that we should do this lah. You know, don't take the risk because your reputation is worth a lot more than this amount of money. You know, this is how I'll present it. Okay, Ken? Okay, Melissa, would that I hope that helps. Okay, who else have any questions?
Hey, Louis, I just want to check here.
Yeah,
I can't see your screen anymore. Have you stopped sharing?
Oh yeah, I stopped already. Hey, oh, okay, sorry, because you know what happened? I'm looking at the written comments. Yeah, okay. Now I go back because I was looking at the written comments just now.
Okay.
Okay, give me 1 minute. Share. Okay, I stopped sharing. Okay, so any other questions from anyone?
Okay, I do have one here, Louis. In terms of the future skill sets, right? One of them is communication. And I believe that everyone will agree with me that communication skills is very, very important, no matter nowadays or in the future. So if this would be our future skill set, would there be any difference in terms of the skills that we need right now and the skills that we need in the future?
Okay, I would say that if you were to look at the advancement of AI, artificial intelligence as well as machine learning, right? So you will see the case whereby HR, okay, this is a repetition of what you probably would have heard 10,000 times. Everybody will say that HR is going to stop doing administrative things and then with technology we can do more higher value added things. I mean, honestly, I've been hearing this for the past, I don't know how many years already, right? But with ChatGPT coming about, right, I think this message is going to be a lot more stark to everybody. So if we see ourselves, our value as being the walking directory or the walking encyclopedia for HR policies and all that, then therefore that defines our value as HR professionals. I would seriously encourage us to rethink that, because ChatGPT and other similar technology that can easily replace that at a fraction of our salaries. So therefore, look at things relating to how we can add value. So let me give you an example of how HR can add value. And this is really stemming from a lot of creativity. Okay, let me just think of what is a good way to do it. Okay, how many of us are in Singapore? Can I just ask how many of us are in Singapore? For Singapore, a few. None. Okay, I will just give that example. Okay. So, you know, in Singapore, right, to hire a foreigner to work for us is extremely, extremely expensive because the government does impose a lot of taxes. Okay, we call it different names here, like levies and all that, but it's actually paying government a lot of tax. What is the reason? Because the government wants employers, right, to give priority to hiring locals first, right, which is what any government would do. But there will be certain jobs whereby no locals will want. Okay, I think we in all our respective countries, you know that there will be certain jobs that no locals will want to join on. Okay, so what is a way to hire a foreigner? What is a way to hire a foreigner without incurring too much taxes? So one way we have found out is that foreign spouses of Singaporeans. So you may have a foreign spouse of a Singaporean, and they'll be getting this pass called LTVP Plus. What does LTVP stand for? Long-term visitor pass plus. So this is a pass that will allow the foreign spouse of a Singaporean to work in Singapore without quota, without any levy that the employer had to pay. So this makes sense then for employers to reach out to the foreign spouses or Singaporeans to say, hey, you know what? We understand that you're married, congratulations, but I'm very sure that you don't just want to have a happy family, you also want a happy career for yourself, right? So come, let's just work together to give you that complete package. Marriage plus a good job in Singapore. And then this is where we reach out to them and say, come and join us, our company. We give a relatively good pay. And if you're going to work hard, you know, your career is going to grow with us. So this is one way that some companies do to think creatively, whereby we can go out to reach out to hire foreigners without having to pay levies in a legal way. Okay, so this is one of the many examples that people will use their creativity to get things done. So if you're a HR professional, right, you can think in this way. Do you think you add more value? Vis-a-vis a case whereby, oh, sorry, the law says cannot, so you must pay more. Then then when the employer hear it, they will say, look, Mr. HR, I can find out all these answers from Google. I don't have to ask you, you know. And Google is free. I need to pay you a salary. You know, these are some of those things. And maybe can I also share one example that's pretty old, but I shared this with Rita and Christine some time back. This is relating to one expatriate HRBP, which I have a lot of regard for. It's a lady. So this is what the lady did. All right. We were working in a bank. I was working in a bank before, and she was in the private banking division. So private bankers are those who bank for customers with US 1 million and above to play around with. So what are some of the, she as a HR professional, right, she understood what are some of the key concerns of our clients. And one of their key concerns is how can their wealth be preserved when they pass on and pass the wealth to the next generation. Correct. So she identified that, and as a HR professional, right, she actually proposed to the boss to say, hey, look, this is one of the key problem statements that our private banking clients have. And I would like to propose for a wealth management camp for all the children of our multi-millionaire clients. So what she did is that she basically sent an invitation to all the clients and then got their children, their teenage children, right, to come to Singapore. She booked some 5-star hotel, the entire floor, in fact, and then got them to stay in those luxurious hotels. And in the day, they would go through wealth management training in a fun way. And then in the evening, then of course, they will bring them out to the night spots to have fun and all that, and to know about Singapore. So what did she do essentially? Number one, she made use of the HR knowledge in terms of understanding stakeholders, in terms of learning and development, designing the appropriate learning and development programs with the right pedagogy to reach out to the future generation of the customers. So she has effectively helped to allay the concerns of the existing customers. And then number two, she has actually built a very good relationship. She set the foundation of building a very good relationship with her future customers. Because the next generation of private bank clients may actually choose to transfer their money to another bank. But because of such very good relationship building skills that she has demonstrated, right, she has actually helped to keep these customers and perhaps even attract more. So I would say that these are all very good examples. And in fact, such thinking is way ahead of our time, very futuristic. But if more and more HR professionals can think in this way, think along the line of business, understand what the business requires, and apply our HR knowledge and skills in the right way that is helping the business, making sure it's legal, and then at the same time, drawing upon other benefits as well. And I'm sure that the HR folks will have a very bright future ahead. Yeah, I hope that's a long answer. Okay, this is a bit of a long answer to your question, Rita. I hope it doesn't bore you. Okay, there are some questions though. Sorry, there are some questions. Would you like me to go through them, Rita?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, we have Navina. Navina from Malaysia. Okay. Sorry, Navina. Navina, you have a question?
No, I think there is one saying that one of the challenges of HR is sometimes management sees HR as a long income generating department. Thus, input from HR was not taken seriously, especially with regards to company goals and strategies, ethics goals and statutory on employment acts, safety, etc. How can we as HR obtain and use the skill set in order to be more than just stereotype for the business partners instead?
Okay, that's very important. That's a very good question, I must say, Amira. Okay, Amira, Amira, where are you? Can I see your, do you mind switching your camera now? Hello, good to see you. Okay, I ask you a question. Our company, your company will have a legal department also, right? Okay, Amira, you're muted. Amira, you're muted. Do you mind unmuting yourself so that we can hear
Sorry,
you?
Sue, I
Ah.
think you have
Yes,
to.
we do have our own company lawyer at this moment.
Sorry, what? You say what again?
We do have our own company lawyer at this moment.
I see. Okay, so if I ask you, do the people in your company, right, see the legal department as a cost center or as a profit center?
Usually, I would say as a profit center because legal department usually deals with contracts and things like that, and how they can avoid certain things. So, good input.
Okay. Okay. I have a slightly different perspective. Lawyers are also cost center lah, right? Because they are not the one earning the money ma. But how come the companies give so much respect to the lawyer compared to HR? Do you think so? Yeah. Okay. Maybe sometimes people think different class lah. That okay. Honestly, there's a little bit of truth in it, but I will say this lah. Okay. The lawyers one, right, whatever they say, people take it very seriously. They don't argue too much with the lawyer. But HR, we say, sometimes they try to argue and all that. Right? I don't know whether you have the same experience.
And sometimes they think they know more about the act than HR. They usually,
yeah.
on the act
like macam their football coach like that lah. Right. So the thing is, I would say lah. Okay, that's why we need to go back. We need to really master the Employment Act. Because as what I shared with Tuan Nasir just now, is that a lot of times, right, HR turnover is higher than operations one. So because they think that I stay 30 years at the company, your HR only 5 years, I know more than you kind of thing. So that is the part that we really have to use facts to correct them. And I would say that, okay, this is what we used to do in one of my companies. We were in manufacturing, and this is something that we learned from the Toyota production system. Okay, so what did we learn is this. In HR, right, in manufacturing, right, there are 4 M's. What are the 4 M's? Man, method, machine, and materials. Okay, man, method, machine, materials. So in the manufacturing context, we do not look at profit maximization. We look at loss minimization. Right, that means we want to produce the goods for as little losses as possible, so that when we do a transfer pricing to the market, right, they can sell for as high profit as possible. Because the cost price is lower, then they can sell for more profit. Basically, that's it, right? So when we look at the resources as a HR business partner, right, if there's any losses due to man or method, right, the losses, right, will come out of my bonus. That means I will get less bonus. So what we do is that we basically do 5 why analysis to actually go and find out that if there's a particular manufacturing defect, for example, there's a particular quality defect of the product, we will do a 5 why analysis to find out whether is it man, method, machine, or material. If it's man, then HR will come in to look at how we can improve on the attitude of the individual, because man will be classified as something as you know how to do the manufacturing process, but you purposely don't want to do it. Maybe because your attitude is bad or you're not happy, whatever. So this is where we have to do counseling or a whole range of other performance improvement processes to help this person improve themselves. If it's method, it could mean that there's a new problem that our people have not been competently trained in. So HR's role is to make sure that they go for the training and then close the gap from there. So what we do is that if it's man and method, it will come under HR, and we will monitor the whole process. 6 months after, right, if after we implemented the remedies, if there's no more defect, right, we consider the case closed. So these are the whole range of, I would say an example of the things of why certain companies, right, will take HR very seriously, because they now start to see a direct impact that is documented that HR has contributed to the business. In this case, it's loss minimization. So I believe in other companies, right, very hard for them to see HR as a profit center. Okay, very, very difficult. Unless some may argue, but I can conduct training for other people. Yeah, but is that your main business? It's not your main business, right? So I would say that if we can continue to focus and being good at how to do loss minimization through mastery of the law, through mastery of the business, through mastery of the people, and then communicate it in a compelling way to our business stakeholders, then I would say that we can be taken more seriously. Okay, but it's not going to happen tomorrow lah. So it's basically consistent hard work and tell the same messaging over time. I don't know you will agree with me. You look at those companies, right? The HR director, when he or she talk, people will all scared and will listen on. What's the thing? Is that this HR director has been in the company for like 10, 20 years already. You know this? So sometimes in HR, right, the longer you stay on in the company, the more respect people give you. And this is a part of the whole thing, whereby because you will be your tenure with the company is seen as a proxy for your mastery of the business, and then therefore people will accord more respect to you, things like that lah.